Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. This video right here is about U.S. immigration and some new updates. Listen, the updated videos about U.S. immigration, please bear with them. We are following a roller coaster ride, okay? And this is a roller coaster ride. President Donald Trump has told us that this will be the biggest mass deportation the United States of America has ever seen. Guess what? I'm starting to not believe that it's going to be possible. He's getting people, but it ain't going down like how it was planned. Unless something else happens and he gets a little crazy with it, then crazier than how it's going now. So let's get into what's really happening. According to New York Post, now, President Trump, back in office, ICE has made 32,000 arrests in the first 50 days of the new presidency. 32,000 in 50 days. And 70% of those are facing charges or have been convicted of crimes, senior agency officials from ICE said on Wednesday. 70% of that 32,000 are people who have criminal records or have been convicted of a crime or are facing criminal charges. We're not talking immigration charges. We are talking criminal activities charges. The arrests have made already maxed out ICE detention centers. The beds across the country are full. So it seems to me like the president had a grand idea, but they probably didn't really think this through, because now all the detention facilities are full in the United States of America. I guess the planes are not leaving fast enough. And on top of that, I just saw a headline that said 300 immigration judges resign. Now, of the illegal migrants that were arrested by the Trump's ICE or ICE agency under Donald Trump, 14,000 of those are already convicted criminals. 10,000 of those have pending criminal charges that they're working through in court. So they haven't been convicted yet, but they are pending. And 8,007 of those do not have criminal records in the U.S. ICE officials, again, released this latest piece of information. And it's just the start, said acting ICE Director Todd Lyons. Well, if you put it this way, that 32,000 arrests were made in the first 50 days under this new Donald Trump administration, and 70% of that 32,000 are people with criminal records, or they've been convicted already of a crime, or they are now facing criminal charges. I'm sure everybody is going to be celebrating, because that was the idea in the first place, to get rid of convicted criminals who weren't even supposed to be here in the first place, right? Right. I mean, if you're going to be an immigrant and you're going to come to somebody's country, you're supposed to come to somebody's country putting your best foot forward, looking forward to being a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, not a criminal. Then you are a burden to the system and its taxpayers. And these are the first on the list to go. They also said that we expect these ICE arrests and removal numbers will only go up from here as we unleash an agency that's had its hands tied behind its back for the last 4 years. I guess they are blaming the Biden administration, saying the Biden administration pretty much made ICE obsolete. ICE was not able to do anything. They were able to catch illegal immigrants, but they had to let them go. That catch and release stuff. People were getting into trouble and getting criminal cases and getting tried and convicted, and people were still not being deported, right? Now, however, ICE would not confirm how many illegal migrants have been deported so far. This is the part where I think it gets a little dicey. They're able to tell you how many have been caught in the last 50 days, 32,000. They're able to break down the numbers and tell you how many have criminal records, how many have been just convicted and are fighting a criminal case, and how many are already convicted criminals. They're able to break down and tell you all other aspects of this. Like 14,000 are convicted criminals, 10,000 have pending criminal charges, 8,700 of them do not have criminal records in the US. So you see, of the 32,000, a good portion of it they're not criminals. That's like 8,700, right? But they're not able to tell us how many people they have deported so far. I think they have not deported a lot of people so far, and that is why they are holding on to those numbers. Of course, you don't want the Trump supporters who voted for him based on his stance on immigration to actually look and see that more people have been fired or laid off or lost their jobs under Trump. These are law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens who have been laid off, who have been fired, who have lost their jobs. And more people have lost their jobs than the amount of people, illegal immigrants, that have been deported. It's not a good look, right? So President Trump's campaign on border security enforcement, and the American people voted on it, and we are delivering it beyond anyone's expectation, is what Lyons said. The Trump administration's ICE sweeps have already yielded nearly a quarter of the 114,000 arrests that were made last year. Now, last year, we already know Biden was in power. And under Biden, 114,000 were arrested last year. Of course, some of them were let go with dates that they should report. Some were deported, and some are still waiting for their court case to be called forward so they can see if they'll be allowed to stay in the U.S. or not. It's a system that's the way it works. The Trump administration boasting 32,000 in the first 50 days, saying that they are already almost half the 114,000, kind of makes you look at it like, well, maybe the Biden administration was doing something. I mean, we're going to crunch some real numbers in a minute. The superstar of deportation, believe it or not, in the United States of America is none other than President Obama himself. No other president in the history of the United States of America had deported more quote unquote illegal immigrants than President Obama did. And we're going to crunch those numbers in a minute. So, however, agency officials have accused the Biden administration of cooking the books on ICE arrest data, saying that they counted tens of thousands of migrants in their arrests when they were merely processing and releasing those back into the American community. So although they have a number that says 114,000 from last year, most of those were not deported. They were released back into the communities. That's an accusation. The previous administration counted these assets, or these arrests rather, even though no immigration enforcement action was taken. As a result of the Trump administration mass deportation campaign, ICE has filled 47,600 detention beds and is asking Congress to fund additional space while also recruiting assistance from local and federal agencies that have existing capacity. In one effort to save resources, the Trump administration has asked illegal migrants to start using the CBP Home app, which was the CBP One app before. They're asking them to start using these apps to deport themselves. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how many people are going to actually use that app to deport themselves. Now, here's the catch. They have already said, deport yourself before we catch you and we detain you and we forcefully deport you. If you deport yourself, then you stand a chance of making it back into the US because you can go home, get papers, and come on back. But if you wait for us to catch you and forcibly deport you, remove you from the US, you will never be able to come back into the United States of America again. That might work for some, but my guess is that for most, it probably is not going to work. This is going to end up being a cat and mouse game. With so many Americans, business owners, their businesses crumbling, especially in farming and construction and these areas where these migrants were heavily concentrated because they were the ones who did the back-breaking, cheap labor work. And now, so many projects across the United States of America have been stalled. So many businesses are about to close down, like family farms and whatnot, ranches, because they're not there. So I'm thinking this is going to be a cat and mouse game, right? Once people start to get squeezed in really badly, they're going to start to see that maybe having them here wasn't so bad after all. Now, with that said, in the meantime, though, Donald Trump only has 4 years in power. And we're not going to talk about who is going to take power after him, because if this is damaging to the United States of America and its citizens, they will probably most likely vote Democratic in large numbers after this. So with little room left in ICE's targets, the agency has released an undisclosed number of migrants from custody if they have serious medical conditions or other humanitarian factors. This is according to the high-ranking ICE officials. They themselves, under the under the Trump administration, not Biden, under the Trump administration, they have started releasing migrants. Remember, they said catch and release is something they're not going to do. You will be caught, you will go into detention, and you will be processed, and more than likely, you will be deported if you do not win your case. Well, with little room for ISIS targets, because everywhere is getting filled up, they're starting to send people to foreign countries like Panama. With little room for ICE targets, the agency has released an undisclosed number of migrants, another number that they're not so keen to share with the public. Because, of course, under the Trump administration, it looks bad that they said they would never do that. And then here they are having to do exactly that. Catch and then release. But they're saying that the people that they have released are those who have serious medical conditions and others who have humanitarian factors. Those migrants are released with tracking devices such as ankle monitors. Still, officials are saying that they're not doing catch and release. Also, included in the more than 32,000 migrants that have been caught so far by ICE under Donald Trump were 1,155 suspected gang members, 44 foreign fugitives, 44 foreign fugitives, meaning people who committed crimes in other countries and were on the wanted list, the most wanted list in those countries, have made their way into the US and were hiding here. 44 of those. And 44 foreign fugitives and 29 who are known or suspected terrorists, according to the ICE high-ranking officials. Now let's crunch these numbers with me really quickly. So the Donald Trump administration, ICE, under ICE, or ICE under the Trump administration, in the last 50 days have arrested 32,000 in 50 days, right? Let's do some math. 50 into 365, which is 1 year, equals 7 and 3/10. Let's round that back off to 7, right? So 32,000 would roughly equal 224,000 per year. If they're able to do 32,000 in 50 days, how many 50 days are there in a year? Okay, 7. 7 and 3/10. Let's use 7. 7 times that, 32,000, would equal 224,000. So that simply means that the Trump administration would be capturing, arresting 224,000 migrants per year. Now times that, times 4, since 4 years is what Donald Trump has in power. And remember, this is his second term. He won't be able to run again. So that would leave us with a number of 896,000, which is less than 1 million. President Obama deported a whole lot more. President Obama deported over 3.5 million people. By the speed that Donald Trump's ICE is moving right now, they are projected to deport less than 1 million migrants by the time his 4 years in office are up. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, especially those who supports him and wants a lot of people deported. Now, if he's not able to scratch the surface and reach even 1 million, you know that President Trump does not want to be outdone by President Obama on anything at all, especially on immigration and deporting of illegal immigrants. The United States of America currently has 15.4 million illegal immigrants living in the United States of America. That's a staggering number, 15.4 million. And if Donald Trump, in his 4 years in office, cannot reach not even 1 million, he will not have made a dent in the issue of illegal immigrants living in the United States of America, and that is the reality. So where does this leave us? Right now, this leaves us at a place where we have to look at it and say, maybe it's not going to be as bad as it looks after all. Will people be deported? Absolutely. We've seen people being deported already, right? But will he be able to get rid of 15 million illegal immigrants? He won't even be, this is my prediction. He will not be able to get rid of not even half, not even 7 million. And again, remember, President Obama got rid of 3.5 million. Do the maths. I'm just throwing that number out there for everybody to know what's going on in the last 50 days of the Presidency. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay updated on what's going on with the United States of America immigration situation. I'm out. Peace.